So you've planned a trip to the beautiful Emerald Coast of Florida. You've got your days laid out. You know where you're going when. But today we're gonna go over 7 of the things that you may wanna reconsider before you plan your trip to the beautiful Emerald Coast. Number 1, Silver Sands Outlet Mall. Located in Miramar Beach, this is one of the biggest outlet malls in the entire southeast region of the United States, but there's always a ton of people there. So one of the things you have to be concerned about is what days you actually go to the mall. Avoid it on days that it's raining, because guess what? Nobody else is at the beach and they're all going there too. So stay away from Silver Sands Outlet Mall on days it's raining, and then other times to avoid is kind of, overcast days that people probably won't be enjoying the beach. One of the days that I like to skate in and skate out of there is on Saturday mornings while everybody else is leaving town, because that's our turn day here. You can slide into the mall because usually it's less busy on Saturday mornings. Saturdays are the days that people get here and leave on 7-day rentals and all the rental units. So Saturday by 10 a.m., everyone has to be moved out of their rental unit if they're here on a weekly basis. So they move out by 10 a.m. and then they check in by 3. So that 10 to 3 time, that's what gives all of the local cleaning companies time to get in and get the units ready for the next family that's renting that particular rental property. So that time, you have to be out by 10 a.m. So think about it. What do people do? Do you think they're going shopping, or do you think they're getting on the road to head home? They're getting on the road to head home, or they're catching their flight. So that's where you can usually skate right into that outlet mall and get in there and get out without a lot of trouble. Snorkeling along the beautiful Emerald Coast. We do not have beautiful, color, vibrant coral reefs here. We've got sand. Typically, when you go snorkeling here, a lot of times all you're gonna see is maybe some hermit crabs and some little white fishies, but you're not gonna see big, beautiful, colored fish like you would see in southern Florida around the coral reefs, like in the Keys or down in the Caribbean. So that's one of the things that people get here. They go, oh, we're gonna go snorkeling. And honestly, we see when we go to Crab Island, which is an area right off the Destin Bridge, and that's a place that a lot of locals go on the weekends and during the week to the water's about waist deep, so you can kind of throw anchor and just kind of walk around and hang out. We see a lot of people actually snorkel crews coming over, bringing people over to go snorkeling off of Okaloosa Island right there. And it's pretty amazing seeing these people jump in the water. They're so excited, and then they swim around for like 10 minutes and like all they're looking at is sand. There's no beautiful colors, there's nothing else. But there's this little hidden secret. There are a bunch of hermit crabs around this like big tree stump over there, and my daughter fills her bucket every time we go there. And I kind of made the joke and laugh about it, like, are these like tourist snorkel companies going over there and dumping these hermit crabs there just so their people on their little boats can like find them when they get off, so there's actually something to look at? Because besides that, there's some logs, some grass, and some hermit crabs and beer cans. One of the spots you can actually sometimes run into some bigger fish and sea life is around the jetties. So the jetties are right off of the Destin Harbor as you enter back out to the mouth of the Gulf of Mexico. And you can go snorkeling along the jetties. There's some big rocks and stuff there. And every once in a while you will see some bigger fish kind of come along those rocks, and you may run into a sea turtle or two. But overall, there's just not the marine life like you're gonna find in South Florida and around some of those coral reefs. Dolphin Cruises. Now, they're not all completely overrated, if you will, but you're gonna pay pretty good penny to go out there and potentially see a dolphin along with 60 of your closest non-friends right up in your grill, because you're all piled on this boat and you're all gonna see a dolphin. You're all gonna be looking over at the same exact time, all trying to take pictures over the top of the head of the guy with the really big hat and the big head and everything. That's me. And be like in your way, blocking you. Or maybe you could go and spend a little bit more money, rent a pontoon boat for the day, take the boat out to Crab Island, and you will most likely run into dolphins on your own. And at that point, it's just you and your family enjoying this miraculous time looking at these beautiful sea creatures, jetting through the water. And honestly, they will come up right up to the side of the boat a lot of times. And you get this very personal, like in-person experience as opposed to sitting on some big ass boat, looking down from 15 feet above, hoping to get a glimpse of it because some little kid goes, "Look, a dolphin!" And you get to actually be up close and personal. Another way you can potentially see these dolphins is on a kayak. So you can make it even cheaper than renting a whole pontoon boat. You could rent a kayak for a couple hours and go out the pass and kind of look around for dolphins on your own that way. AJ's Seafood and Oyster Bar. Now, honestly, I like the place, but it is a tourist magnet. So a lot of times when you go there, it may be very overcrowded. It may be hard to actually go up to the bar and get a drink. It may be hard to get seated for a table to sit down and enjoy a nice meal. The food is very good, but at the same time, I don't know if it's worth waiting 2.5 to 3 hour wait sometimes just to get a table to enjoy the food. My pro tip is sneak in there in the early afternoon when it's less crowded so you can get in, get out, enjoy the beautiful view of the harbor because it does have one of the absolute most gorgeous views of seeing everything that's going on in the Destin Harbor. But if you get in there in that early afternoon, you'll be able to beat the crowd. Crab Island Excursions. Weigh the cost of how many people you have in your group going out there versus how much it would cost you to go rent your own pontoon boat. Now I get it, some people want to make sure they have a captain and so they can all go drink and party and have fun, but at the same time, you got to make sure that it's being cost effective for your trip because ultimately all they're doing is leaving the dock, going out there, throwing anchor, pulling anchor, and coming back. Right? You don't get to go and go around Crab Island, go and potentially see some dolphin like we've talked about in other videos, or be able to go look for hermit crabs over on Okaloosa Island. So you're very limited when you take one of these excursions on what you can actually do for the day. You're kind of tied there. So make sure you kind of look at all options before you decide to take one of these Crab Island excursions. Kayaking can be a great, entertaining thing to do. It's really good exercise now. But one of the things you have to be concerned with is some of the tides and some of the currents and some of the chop here along the Emerald Coast. So whether you're kayaking out in the Gulf on a real choppy day, it can get you can get pretty far away from where you started, and it can be a real bear or pain in the neck to kind of paddle and paddle and paddle against the current to get back to where you came from. Another thing to be concerned with is kayaking along the bay side. So if you're in the bay, you have to be careful of all the boats and everything else going by that are going to create a wake that could potentially make for a very uncomfortable kayaking experience because the whole time you're just getting kind of tossed around, if you will. And so what my suggestion is, find some of the awesome dune lakes. Like in the Grayton Beach area, we have Western Lake that's over 100 acres. This is a very peaceful, calm kayaking day. And there's multiple lakes here along the Emerald Coast. You can go and enjoy a very serene, peaceful kayaking experience while still taking in the natural beauty that this area has to offer. As a local, this is something that we took our daughter to, and I personally did not have the greatest experience in the entire world. The only reason I would think you would even think about going there if you were here on vacation would be because of a rain day, a day you can't go to the beach. Okay, what are we gonna do? And you get out Google and what are inside activities to do and up pops Emerald Coast Science Center. The exhibits are a little bit dated and they're very limited and there's not just a ton to do. They're not very immersive. The kids aren't gonna have a great time. So what I would like to recommend is that you go to the Naval Aviation Museum or the Gulfarium. These are other activities that I think you will have a far better experience at than going to the Science Center. While the Emerald Coast offers a ton of great activities to do with your family while you're here on vacation, there are some things that you should avoid. We went over those today. I hope you found this to be helpful, so stay tuned for one of our next videos where we're gonna go over the 7 things that you should not miss while you're here traveling along the beautiful Emerald Coast.